The 2025 NFL Draft is rapidly approaching and is now just a couple weeks away as the Detroit Lions look to fill a couple of gaps on this team with a couple more terrific rookies. We know Brad Holmes has a terrific track record when it comes to finding guys that can come in and make an immediate impact as a rookie. Also, I do apologize for not uploading the last couple months. I'm happy to be back. I've just been processing that loss. And finally, I've gotten over it, and then also just been dealing with life, so I haven't been able to upload recently. But let's go ahead. Let's get into my 2025 Detroit Lions mock draft. Here is the Detroit Lions official 2025 draft pick list. We've got 7 total picks, with a couple coming from Dallas and Tampa. And overall, enough picks to make an impact on this roster. I'm going to start out with a trade. I have the Detroit Lions trading with the Denver Broncos, giving up their first and third round pick this year, as well as a future fourth. Then I also have them receiving the Broncos first round pick 20 overall. Now with this 20th pick, I have the Detroit Lions selecting Jihad Campbell out of Alabama. Some info on this guy, if you haven't seen him already. He is an outside linebacker who is a converted edge rusher. He can play both. He played both last year for Bama. And overall is one of the youngest defensive players in this draft. He's 6'3", 235 pounds, just turned 21 years old last month. Ran a 4.5 40, and had 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 119 tackles, and 11.5 tackles for loss last year. A Bama product. We know Brad Holmes likes that. I mean, I think, the last 3 drafts he's drafted at least one Bama guy. It's pretty incredible. And overall, this guy fills the need that we have of a fast outside linebacker that can track down running quarterbacks, as well as running backs that are, running towards the sideline. This guy will fill that defensive hole, which we just do not have any fast linebackers. We need a fast outside linebacker. He's also a guy you can throw in at edge rusher on third downs. Some pros for him is he's a converted edge rusher, can play both, rarely misses tackles, and is a great blitzer with an explosive first step. Some cons is that he can overcommit, which can cause misdirection, and he also needs better hand placement. What I mean by the can overcommit is that, let's say like a team's running like a play action or a fake pitch, he often will overcommit to one player rather than kind of waiting and seeing, okay, who's got the ball, so that's something you can work on easily. But overall, I think this guy will fill that need of just having a guy that can track down those fast quarterbacks and even those fast running backs when they hit the sideline. Pick 60 overall, I have the Detroit Lions taking Josiah Stewart, an edge rusher from Michigan. Now, if you're a Michigan fan, you're very familiar with this guy. Coastal Carolina transfer from a couple years ago, started the last 2 years from Michigan, and had a really nice season this year. He's 6'1", 249 pounds, had 8.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 33 tackles, and 13 tackles for loss. He also ran a 4.70 40-yard dash, which is pretty good for an edge rusher. Some pros for him: he's got an elite motor, and I like to compare this guy to Hutch. I mean, not just because he played for Michigan, but because of his elite motor. Yeah, they both have that in common, and he has an explosive first step with a high IQ and is easily able to sniff out screen passes. And some negatives for him is that he's a little undersized. It's got that shorter arm length, but we've seen this in the past. Just because you're undersized and have short arms does not mean that you can't be a down edge rusher. Hutch came in, and the reason that he got picked 2nd overall was because of his short arms, right? And look what he's doing for us. So overall, I think this guy can come in and be that sidekick to Hutch and develop nicely over the next couple of years. Going to the 4th round, pick 130 overall, I had the Detroit Lions taking another Bama guy, Malachi Moore, a safety from Alabama. To me, safety is probably the second biggest need for the Detroit Lions in this draft because we need some depth there. Right now, we've got 4 safeties, I believe, and 2 of them are Brandon Joseph and Laurie Strickland, who, to me, I really like them as depth pieces. Like Brandon Joseph, I really like. Laurie Strickland, haven't seen him much, but we need more depth there and a guy that can maybe be a future starter. And Malachi Moore, his pro comp on a scouting report is literally Kirby Joseph. He's 5'11", 196 pounds, 2 interceptions last year with 8 pass deflections, 70 tackles, a 4.5 40-yard dash. Some positives for him is he has very good route recognition, elite ball skills, and a very high football IQ and a great leader. Some negatives is that he can struggle to shed blocks, and he also doesn't have the greatest medical history, as he dealt with a couple injuries the last couple years, mostly just things like concussions or like a broken finger, similar things that you would see Brian Branch have, just from hitting hard and doing things like that. Just common safety injuries that you'll see. But if he's able to stay healthy, I would love to have this guy as a depth piece on this team and maybe a potential future starter. And again, Bama product. I really do think that this guy could be a very likely pick for the Detroit Lions this year. Now heading to the 6th round, pick 196 overall, the Detroit Lions will be selecting Dalton Cooper, an offensive tackle out of Oklahoma State. Now, I couldn't find too much on this guy, especially when it comes to film, but I have him at 6'5", 312 pounds. He plays both left and right tackle. He's an offensive tackle, by the way, forgot to mention that. He gave up 0 sacks last year and is an excellent pass protector. Some cons are that he's not a great run blocker, and he also needs some better footwork. But I was able to find a couple clips of him going up against some guys in the Senior Bowl practices, and you can tell that you can see it in him. He's a very good pass protector. His footwork does need a little bit of work from what I've heard, but I mean, if you watch the clips, he looks pretty good with it. So we'll see how he develops. Going to the 7th round, pick 228 overall, I have the Lions taking Ja'Corey Brooks, a wide receiver out of Louisville. This guy is actually transferred from Bama, I think, last year, and had a really nice season with the Cardinals. And he is 6'2", but most sites have him at 6'3". So, whatever you want. I mean, I would list him at 6'3", but ESPN has him at 6'2". He's 184 pounds, had 61 catches last year with 1,013 yards, 9 touchdowns, and a 4.65 40 time. Some positives for him is he has great ball tracking skills. He's a great deep threat, creates separation at the catch, and he's a great go up and get it guy and a great sideline catcher as well. Some negatives is that he's not very quick or fast, and he needs to work route running. Now, this guy, he's not the fastest in terms of, speed, like I said, like when it comes to quickness, but his longevity speed is very, very good. If you watch these clips, he's able to pull away once he gets that stride going, and he's able to, outrun a lot of defensive backs. Now, like I said, his route running isn't great. He needs to work on being able to create more separation, not just at the point of the catch. He's very physical and is able to, use his hands to create separation, but he needs to be able to create separation while running routes and stuff like that. But overall, I think he could fit really well in this offense. I like that he's got very good size, and I like that he also kind of reminds me a little bit of a mix of like Josh Reynolds and Antoine Green, Tim Patrick, those taller guys with long arms that can be a good sideline and end zone threat. That's something that we need, and we need someone to develop over the next couple of years. Heading to our final pick in this mock draft, round 7, I have the Detroit Lions selecting Corey Thornton, a cornerback from Louisville. I know you might think, why are we taking 2 Louisville players? That's unrealistic. It's really not. I mean, I do think the biggest reason I selected this guy is because of his size and length. He's 6 foot, 194 pounds, runs a 4.46 40-yard dash, had 2 picks on the year, 9 pass deflections, and 40 tackles. Some positives of that: he is a great man-to-man corner, has great size and length, and has great hip flexibility as well, which is something I really like in cornerbacks. Some cons is that he can be slow disengaging from blocks and also needs better ball skills. If you watch these clips, he drops a couple easy interceptions, but that's something that you can develop over time. Now, this guy, I really do think is underrated in this draft, and like I said, I don't think it's unrealistic taking 2 guys from the same team. Teams do it all the time, but the biggest reason I like this guy is because of that size and length that he has. He's so physical against those big wide receivers, and that length is going to really come in handy. I could see this guy developing very, very nicely. Now, overall, I think the Detroit Lions need to target defense. Now, I would like to see us draft an offensive tackle and maybe a late-round tall wide receiver that we could develop. I do think that that's something that could come in handy over the next couple of years. We also need an offensive tackle coming up because Taylor Decker's getting old. Even a center, I'd be fine with drafting. But overall, defense needs to be our primary focus with edge rusher and safety, as well as maybe a fast outside linebacker, because we need a guy that can stop those running quarterbacks and running backs when they run outside. So I think that'd be very useful. But overall, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought of the mock draft. And I'm happy to be back. I've got some Pistons videos coming up soon, some more mock drafts. So stay tuned. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.